Hi, everyone. I'm Wendy Shafransky.
I'm Rob Delacruz.
I'm Larry Medina. We are Strong Principles.
All right, guys. The topic we're going to dig in today is the need to have a deadline or an event to be consistent in training. So I'll give it a little context. A lot of times when people come through the doors because, they want to start exercising and we ask about what their goals are, a lot of times it's to fit into a wedding dress, to look good for a class reunion and that sort of thing. Or they decided, I want to do a Spartan race, or even our members who kind of fall off a little bit in their consistency. They'll say, hey, can you plan some sort of a competition at the gym? Because I need something to train for. And, having a deadline to train for something is kind of counterintuitive to what should actually work, which is training for life.
Yeah. And I mean, we often see that a lot of times in competitive kind of gyms, and CrossFit made it really competitive in the class situation now. Like everybody's like got some kind of competitive metric they follow. And what it does is competition is good, but when it's the only thing that is driving you to exercise and take care of yourself, there's going to be ups and downs. And eventually what happens is it's an all or nothing mentality. So once you're not going for something, then your drive and motivation comes down really quickly.
Right. And a lot of times when they have that deadline, they're more likely to do something that's unsustainable. All right, I'm going to work out 6 days a week and I only need to do this for 3 months and that's my deadline. So they do it and then they're burnt out and they end up, just kind of going from all to nothing.
Now, do you feel like when people do that, when they go from like, hey, I got to train for X, Y, and Z, do you feel that's where people may be more injury prone?
I can't say that, but maybe overuse injuries. Like they're adding stuff, they're doing too much, they're running every day, then they're lifting, they're burning themselves out for sure. So yeah, that could in essence lead to injury.
Yeah, and it does to a certain, just like what Wendy said. The main thing that I see what it really leads to is it leads to an unsustainable approach. And it puts you at a position, like a pinnacle position, as far as like it's an aesthetic show. You look like you're not going to look normally, or it's a more performance-based competition. You're not going to be able to maintain that performance all the time. So then there's eventually a backwards. And then that's where we see like be detrimental. And like I said, competition is great, some of it. But when it's based for like a lifestyle and health, it becomes a problem a little bit because then you're always going back and forth to it.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with doing Spartan races or DECA or High Rocks or any of that. But when that becomes your driver and not saying like, I'm looking to feel better in my own skin or longevity or these other more important factors, then, once that event is over, then you kind of come crashing down.
So it seems like it's a mindset.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And yes, absolutely. And mindset is everything in the gym. If you're someone that compares yourself to others or have negative self-talk, it's hard to succeed. But the mindset that could work better here could be, I read an article. If you tie in exercise to your identity and it becomes part of who you are, you're more likely to do it. Like, yeah, I'm somebody who exercises 5 days a week. So I'm going to get up every morning and do it. And it's not like this struggle.
It's having a healthy relationship. And like a little bit of competition is great, motivating, could be driving something to shoot for once in a while. But like when that's the only motivating thing, then you're going to run into a problem, especially like the longevity and taking care of yourself, the health, the lifespan.
So it reminds me a lot of the Jocko book by Jocko. It's called Discipline Equals Freedom, where basically he talks about like, if you're disciplined in life, right? Kind of like the whole mentality of coming to the gym every day, 5 days a week, identifying as X, Y, and Z, right? Like I'm a gym person, whatever. It basically like it gives you freedom of like, I know what I'm doing every day.
Right. Yeah. You have more of a blueprint. It's not based on an emotion, which motivation's an emotion. It's based on, this is what I do. This is part of my life and it's a non-negotiable.
Yeah, and the thing you got to be careful with too is like I've dealt with it a lot with the performance athletes, and people run into that with the like aesthetic athletes and stuff too. It's kind of like self-defeating. It's like it has been. Like I was one time able to do this when I went to this competition, but I'm not there right now, or I'll never get back there, or so you're kind of like defeating yourself. when it comes to that. And so that over a long period of time eventually like starts to get them to like not go to the gym, be as motivated to take care of their self.
Right. And I mean, when people start training, they have newbie gains left and right. You know, it's very rewarding because every week you're getting stronger, but eventually that plateaus, or you get older and that plateaus. I mean, I'm not nearly as strong as I was 10 years ago, but I just say, all right, I hit a menopause PR, you know?
Now, is that because we're just getting older?
Yeah.
Or is that,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not training as hard as when I used to compete in things, and I had a coach, and I was leaner, I was stronger, but I hurt all the time, you know, so there's a trade-off.
So the thing, Larry, is so there's a trade-off. And like performance-driven sports and everything else, we got to remember, that's not like exactly like health, like wellness, especially like the longevity that people are looking at now. And there's a cost. And so there's a benefit to all exercise, strength and conditioning. And then eventually, if there's too much done, it becomes a cost.
that could be such a mind, you know?
Yeah. Because who's the Navy SEAL, Goggins? People put him on a pedestal because there's no doubt he has a strong mindset, but he's so extreme and people love it, and to see what he's put his body through. But he has failed marriages. He has failed health. I mean, there's, you know, people love like the 75 hard thing. But again, there's a deadline there. So they're doing something unsustainable, going, just get me through this for 75 days and I'm going to change my life. And then they go off the rails afterwards.
So I know people that did the 75 hard, and yeah, they did well, right? Yeah. They did everything by prescription. 75 days ended and weight went right back up and passed where they started.
Yeah.
And some people like can take some of these challenges and they go into it and they can take it. Some people, as soon as they're done, because it was so hard to them, or they need a break. And you don't want to take a break. And also when you go through and you do something, we're not saying don't have goals, but you got to remember, when you reach a goal or you do an event, there's going to be a low a little bit after it, no matter what. Yeah. It just is.
And that's like a sexier goal. You know, I did this amazing event where I suffered for 6 hours. Great. That's awesome. Like, you know, good for you. But they don't look at the little things as goals, like, hey, I can squat below parallel now, or my shoulder doesn't hurt. Or, you know, I'm as strong as on my left side as I am on my right side. You know, all these like little things that are very impressive to us. They're not these, you know, sexy things to brag about, but like we see them and we call them out to our members. Like, that's huge. Like, you could actually hang from a bar for a couple seconds and you couldn't do that before. I mean, that's huge, but people like these big, you know, showy things, and it's an accomplishment for people. And I don't want to take that away from them. But again, you know, look at it as a journey. And this is a goal I have in my long time journey of health.
Yeah. And I believe like we actually spoke on some of this before, like some of the professional athletes, some of the high level CrossFit athletes that like we've worked with in the past and everything, when they're done with the sport, they cannot find the motivation to work out, to change that mindset to like, it's like self-love and like for their self, they lose the drive.
Yeah. I like, to me, like the way I look at, you know, the gym, the way you guys do things here, right? Because like it should be told, like I try to work out in my own gym by myself, and that's very different, right? Versus here, you have a community. You know, and like me personally, like I do think of this community that you have here. It's almost like it is self-care. It is self-love, absolutely. You know, because like you do have to work on yourself, and one way by doing it is by coming to a gym, being around some people that are here doing the same thing as you are. And it's not a competition. No. The only competition is against yourself. Yeah. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. And like a little bit of competition is not a big deal, but it's like your main focus is taking care of yourself. And like we do, there's a couple of ways we do that. One, we de-emphasize like the workouts that are like competition driven. Like we're all here to support someone if they want to do a competition, but we don't push it all the time.
Right.
At all.
And so I've done Go Ruck events before where you're up for, you know, 12 hours and with a special forces guy, and they just basically do whatever they tell you to do. And every once in a while I get a little bug, like maybe I should do another one of those, because it is so rewarding to go through something like that. But my my training isn't going to really change that much. Yeah, I might go rucking more or something like that, but I'm still going to keep the same schedule. Afterwards, I'm going to maybe, take a couple days and chill, but then get right back on it. It's just, again, it's a little blip and it's something that you can be proud of, but it's not your reason for coming to the gym.
Yeah. And like, don't get me wrong. We have some people that they do a lot of competitions, but they also take care of themselves and come in no matter what. And so that person has like a good relationship with competition. But for some people, they might think it's motivating and they have a good relationship with competition, but then they have a low after, and then they have a lot of inconsistency. So I would say that's not a good relationship with competition. You need to be careful with like what you're choosing to do.
And really, in all of these competitions they want to do, they're not elite level. They just want to do it for completion, which is great. Like this is something hard that most people in this world couldn't do. So awesome. But you would think they were like training for the Olympics or something, the way they're so serious about it. And then again, fall off. But to Rob's point, yeah, we know some games athletes, CrossFit games athletes, that now that they're not training for the games, they find it hard to even train. And then when they do train, it has to be for time, or it has to, it's like that stimulus and that whatever it does to their mental state.
Dopamine.
Yeah.
That's really what it is, right? It's
the sport too. I mean, I see that with NFL players and like some of the people like I've worked with in the past. Once they're done, it's like they only worked out with this to play this game. So now like they're working out to take care of themselves. They understand it, but they just can't get behind it very often. They're very inconsistent.
Yeah. If you were ever a competitive athlete, you have this mentality of sport is life, and that's your identity is wrapped around that. So when that ends, and it ends for everyone, there's a big identity crisis a lot of times. So, a lot of these people, they'll wrap up their identity in this event they're going to do, but why don't you just wrap yourself in the identity of like, hey, I'm somebody who strength trains 3 days a week. Hey, I'm somebody who no matter what, I'm going to be in the gym 4 days a week, or, whatever. So it's a lot more sustainable, but it's not as flashy.
Because like there's a big difference between, this is where people get it. You can become fit, and there is an element of getting healthy with competition, but the things that work really well for competition or sports don't work really well for like taking care of yourself for health for a long period of time.
Well, most high level athletes are actually not the picture of health.
No.
Yeah, because you see Michael Jordan's knees are jacked up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an extreme compared to something that's more of a sustainable approach. And so like people get that like kind of confused really bad.
Yeah. And even back to your bodybuilder and figure show thing. I mean, that's a science experiment. You're not healthy at all. You're just not.
And you're never going to look like that normally. So then that one time you did it, usually like you blow up after it.
You gain 20 pounds in a week, and then you're like, what the hell? Why can't I look like that all the time? And your self-esteem takes a hit.
Yeah. And plus like your cheat days for those, it's just insane, right? It's got to be insane because like you're so strict for such a long time that all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm going to pound this pound of pasta. Yeah. No problem. You know, a whole pizza.
And both of the performance and the aesthetic driven competitions can give you some form of like either body dysmorphia or like performance, I would say dysmorphia of trying to be up here really high, or I only looked a certain way and now I don't like the way I look. So both of those can cause an issue.
Yeah. And it all boils down to, what we always talk about is sustainability. Like what can you commit to given your schedule, your life long-term?
So how do you convince somebody that's like competitive driven? Like convince isn't really like a good word because like it's still up to the person, right? Like it should be up to the person to come to terms of like, okay, well, while I may not be competitive anymore, how do I maintain being healthy?
Right.
Yeah, it's their why. So when they come to us with that, like, listen, I just want to be able to still like be happy with my performance, but I want to be healthy. I don't want to hurt. And so like then you could kind of mold your conversation to that. But what happens is they'll say that and then they're doing things that don't match that goal. And so then that's when you as a coach have to like figure out how to kind of massage that and like gently come in and be like, hey, what you're doing here is actually detrimental for what you're saying you want to do. I mean, this is fine. I mean, that's fine here, but this is going to go against the goals that you're asking for, or you were talking about you wanted.
Yeah, and the conversation of like a member coming to me and saying, "Hey, can you put together the dry try?" This like this triathlon we used to do here, because I really need something to train for. Then you can just kind of get into a conversation of like, why they think they need something to train for to be consistent. And listen, you have 3 kids and you're approaching your 50s. This is where you're laying that groundwork to be very viable and vibrant as you get older. And it's hard to wrap your head around that when you're younger, but
Yeah, that's the thing, is that like life gets in the way, life gets in the way no matter where you're at. And like, if you have a full-time job and your full-time job is not athletics, it gets hard to
100%
stay here, because like it just takes time. You will have a failed marriage, right? You will have it. Well, maybe not, right? Maybe you have somebody who's very understanding or whatever the case may be, but it's hard.
Right.
It's harder.
Yeah.
So to maintain any kind of high level of anything, of like athletics or aesthetics, there becomes like an element of being selfish.
Oh yeah.
There's no way around it.
You're training with your eating and everything. But yeah, I mean, I guess the point in this whole thing is there's nothing wrong with doing events, wanting to look good for a wedding or a reunion, but don't tie this deadline to like your process. Look at long-term, sustainability and what you need to do to, become active for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's just having a healthy relationship with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. If I could give some advice to the younger generation, right? Our generation had 3 places that you could always be, whether it be school or work, your home, and probably the mall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And the next generation that's coming up, they have school or work and home.
And the online world.
And the online world.
And social media.
So they should make the gym the third.
Yeah.
Make that happen.
Yeah, it's that notion of a third place. I think the Starbucks CEO came up with that because he wanted Starbucks to be people, that you have your home, a lot of people, their church, and their work. But, I think, connect with people, make that, look forward to going to the gym and look forward to getting stronger. Look, those tiny little successes and wins that build up to big ones later on. I think a lot of people don't notice those little things, but they're worth noticing.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. I think we said it all.
We wrapped it up.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Strong Principles.